In this episode we are talking about next episode about business model, episode 6. In episode 5, we committed a necessary murder. We killed the passion first myth, and if that felt uncomfortable, it's because humans are biologically weird to favor optimism bias over reality. But if you're still here, it means you've survived the demolition. Most founders stop at the ruins. They mistakes having an idea for having a business. In this episode, we have a lot of content, and it's going to be exactly this episode is going to be one of the most content rich and longest one. And so fasten your seatbelt and get ready. As usual, I prepared the pitch deck, and yeah, let me share my share screen. Where is my share screen? Here, here, and here. So let's look at the wreckage. Harvard Business School's Shekhar Ghosh found that 75% of venture-backed startups fails. Do you know why? It's because it's rarely lack of effort. It's the build trap. Uh, yeah, Statistics from the Startup Genome Project show that 74% of high-growth internet startups fail due to premature scaling. They built a cathedral on a swamp. They focused on the aesthetics exactly, and instead of the build the system. This isn't about loving your idea. Passion doesn't pay the rent. System integrity does today pay that. We transition from the why to the how. We are using the VTDF framework, not as the theory, but as a surgical tool. We are going to engineer a business that works even when you don't feel like working. No fluff, no motivation, just cold hard architecture. Welcome to the build zone. Yeah. The cognitive trap, there is a psychological trap in entrepreneurship called action bias. It's the human urge to do something, anything, to alleviate the anxiety for uncertainty. You write code, you design a logo, you post on LinkedIn or Instagram or make a video for YouTube. You feel productive. But according to Peter Drucker, the father of modern management, there is nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. Most of you aren't building, you are just making. Making is an activity, building is an architecture. The data is brutal. A study published in the Journal of Business Venturing indicates that founders who spend more time on symbolic actions like business card or business pitch deck or fancy office or rather than functional or organizing are significantly more likely to fail within 24 months. We are obsessed with the output, but we ignore the throughput. In systems theory, specifically the input process output, that means IPO model, a business is nothing more than a black box that transforms a raw problem into a predictable solution. If your business depends on your daily heuristics to function, you haven't built a system. You've just built a job for yourself. It's VTDF Framework. To move from making to building, we use the VTDF Framework as usual in our system. This isn't just a catchy acronym, it's a structural stress test. V for value is your product market fit. T for technology is your operational efficiency. D for distribution is your customer acquisition cost, CAC exactly, versus LTV, lifetime value. And F for financial is your burn rate and unit economics. We aren't here to launch. We are here to assemble a machine that survives the friction of reality. Let's look at the blueprint. We want to talk about the core, the build sequence, the Ashawit protocol exactly. Step 1, problem selection, not idea selection. V for value. Let me check something. Yeah, here. Ideas are culturally overvalued, but economically nearly worthless. In Clayton Christensen's Jobs to be Done framework, JTBD framework, customers don't buy products. They hire them to solve a specific struggle. If there is no struggle, there is no hire. The data supports this, according to CB Insight exactly, analyzed over 100 startup failures and found that 42% failed because of no market need. They solved an idea, not a problem. To pass the value V test, a problem must possess 3 data validated traits. 1, high frequency. Does this pain occur often enough to from a habit? 2, high severity. Is the cost of doing nothing greater than the cost of the solution? 3 is a pre-allocated budget. Is the customer already hiring a workaround? If you aren't displacing an existing painful expenditure, you aren't building a business. You're including a hobby at your own expense. Step 2, concentrate driven design. T for technology, exactly. A standard startup advice is an echo chamber of build the best possible product. This is academically flawed. In systems engineering, specifically the theory of concentrate, gold rate exactly, the goal isn't local optimization of the entire system's throughput. Your technology, T, isn't your code, is the bridge between your value, V, and your concentrate, real world concentrates. Limit capital, small teams, and time aren't obstacles. They are the parameters of your designs. According to the law of parsimony, the simplest system that solves the problem is the superior one. If your solution requires 10 developers and 1 million to test a hypothesis, your design is structurally unsound. You don't need more to start. You need a more elegant use of less. Step 3 is the smallest viable system, SVS exactly. T plus F. We need to retire the term MVP, minimum viable product, because it has been hijacked by product theater. Most founders build demos, publish interfaces that test opinions, not behavior. In behavioral economics, the say-do gap is massive delta. People say they love an idea, but they don't act on it. Your goal is an SVS, a smallest viable system. The difference is critical. An MVP theater focuses on usability and aesthetics, low friction, exactly. And in SVS, a smallest viable system, focuses on commitment and friction, focuses on high trust. MVP focus on a low friction, and SVS focus on high trust. The SVS must trigger what Nassim Taleb calls skin in the game. For a system to be viable, it must extract the cost from the user. This cost can be financial, actual revenue, temporal, significant time commitment, or data-centric. If your test doesn't involve the risk of loss for the customer, you aren't collecting data. You're collecting compliments. Compliments are the leading indicator of future bankruptcy. The moment of truth is the first honest revenue. Let me check something. I think I lost one of my slides here. No worry. Until this moment, the mirage of feedback, you have been living in a simulation. In a startup culture, we are addicted to soft metrics, wait list, LinkedIn like, and verbal affirmation. But in behavioral economics, we recognize the information asymmetry between a potential customer and founder. When a friend or a beta tester tells you your idea is great, they are often practicing social desirability bias. They aren't helping you, they are lying to you to avoid social friction. As Rob Fitzpatrick argues in the Mom test, any feedback that isn't a hard commitment is a noise-filled distraction. Truth doesn't live in the maybe. Truth lives in the transaction. The F lover is revenue as a validity filter. This is where the financial F, lever of the VTFD. Do you remember that? In the slide number 3, V for value, T for technology, D for distribution, F for financial. Back to slide number 6. So, as I said, this is where the financial lever of the VTDF framework becomes a surgical instrument. We aren't looking for profit yet. We are looking for validation of sacrifice. In the early stage of Airbnb, the founders didn't just need user. They need $80 from total stranger to sleep on an air mattress in a living room. That $80 was honest revenue. It proved that the value V was so high that it overcame the friction T of the primitive system. Let's look at localized examples that translate globally. Consider a Snap in Iran, the Uber of Iranian people, exactly. when they launched the infrastructure for digital payments and GPS was fractured, but they found their honest revenue moment when commuters, strangers who had zero personal loyalty to the founders, were willing to bypass traditional trusted taxi agencies to book a ride via a clunky early stage app. The data showed that the opportunity cost of waiting for a traditional taxi was higher than perceived risks of the new system. That is the point where a project becomes a business. There is another thing that name is the quantitative threshold. According to the lean startup methodology, Eric Rice, we are looking for the minimum viable revenue, MVR. It's not about the decimal point. It's about the conversion velocity. There is amateur metrics. For example, over 10,000 signups, zero skin in the game. The architect metric is 10 strangers paying $1 total skin in the game. Academic research from MIT's Sloan Schools of Management exactly suggests that early revenue is the most accurate predictor of long-term survival, not because of the cash flow, but because it forces the founder to fix the leaks in the V value and D distribution levers immediately. If you can't get one stranger to give you $1, you don't have a scaling problem. You have a structural failing in your value proposition. Please stop building. Stop listening to the silence of the market. We have to be honest about the biology of the build zone. It is inherently anti-human. As humans, we are evolutionarily programmed for loss aversion and immediate gratification. Building a business system, real structure building exactly, is slow. It's invisible and it feels like failure for a long time. Okay, where is my slide? Again, I lost my... So, in a structural engineer, if you build a structure with microscopic flaws in the foundation, it might look beautiful for years. But the moment you put it under the stress of heavy load, it collapses. Most startups aren't killed by the competition. Let me stop my share screen. Where is my share screen? Here we go. So, most startups aren't killed by the competition. They are killed by their own internal structure fatigue. They made a product, but they never build a system. According to research by Howard Love in the startup J-Curve, the most critical metric in the phase isn't your growth rates. It's your learning rates. If your cost of learning is higher than your remaining capital, you're effectively a dead company, I think. We can look at the history of global giants like Amazon. For years, Jeff Bezos didn't build a bookstore. He built logistics and the data architecture, the T technology and the D distribution levers. That happened to sell books first. He chose the concentrate fortress over the sandcastle. he prioritized systematic resilience over quarterly optics. If you aren't extracting data that change your behavior every single week, you aren't building. You're just vibrating in place. You've survived the demolition of your illusions. You've started the slow, agonizing process of construction. But now comes the most dangerous temptation of all. Growth in biology, uncontrolled growth is called cancer. In business, it's called premature scaling. Research from the Kaufman Foundation shows that companies that scale too fast, too soon, perform over, I think, 76% worse than those that wait for a stable system. In the next episode, I'm going to show you why scaling is the poisons that kills the most promising startups, and how to know exactly when and if you are allowed to grow. Because if you scale a broken system, you aren't building a bigger business. You're just building a bigger disaster. We are closing this episode, but the work hasn't even started. In cognitive psychology, there is a phenomenon called the IQ effect. We overvalue things we've built ourselves, even if they are structurally flawed, because you've spent weeks or months making your product, you're biased. You are blind to the cracks in your own foundation. But the market is cold physics. It doesn't care about your effort. It only cares about systematic integrity. I'm giving you a diagnostic exercise based on the 5 whys technology developed by the Sakichi Toyoda. I want you to look at your current project through the lens of the VTDF stress test. Answer these 4 questions with data, not adjective. V, value. Can you show me a screenshot of your stranger's pain? Not a survey result, but a job they failed to complete today. 2. T for technology. If you had to deliver your service using only a WhatsApp group and a spreadsheet, could you? If the answer is no, your tech is a crutch, not a lever. 3. D for distribution. Do you have a linear acquisition path? If your only plan is going viral, you don't have a D lever, distribution channel exactly. You have a lottery ticket maybe. And finally, 4. F for financial. Have you extracted a skin in the game? Even $1, according to the zero price effect, then early, the difference between $0 and $0.01 is a psychological chasm. If they won't pay a cent, they aren't customers, they're guests. Write this answer down, and not in your head exactly, on your paper or on your on our this video YouTube. The generation effect in neuroscience proves that the act of writing creates deeper cognitive commitment. If you find a no in any of these 4 pillars, congratulations. You'll just save yourself 3 years of failing at a business that never existed. You've stopped being an amateur maker. You've started being a system architect. I'll see you in episode 7, where we discuss the most seductive trap in the word scaling. Build a system, not a dream. Thanks for watching me, and bye.